Leute und willkommen zurück. Heute wollte ich erklären, wie ich Deutsch habe gelernt in den letzten 3 Monaten und meinen Tipps zum mehr effektiv Study Sessions haben. Okay, so enough German for now. Let's talk study sessions, and by that I mean the time that you actually sit down and study, meaning you try to understand, memorize, and really comprehend how the language works. So I will share with you the exact routine that I followed to reach the A2 level in German, and also I will talk to you about the best time to study, and I will really focus on this one because this is really important and it's really what is gonna make or break your study sessions. Now, one thing is sitting down and study, and another very different thing is to actually put everything you've learned to practice. That's the hard part, right? I found that pairing your study sessions with passive listening and active practice is like the perfect trio to actually get you to progress in your target language. Which leads me to the sponsors of today's video, italki. I really love italki because it gives me the opportunity to learn languages however I want and when I want. Like, you can just send your teacher what it is that you would like to learn, and then they will review it and they will prepare a lesson that is just for you. And there is really power into personalized lessons because that way you can really focus your lesson on improving everything that you've learned throughout the weeks. I find that when I actually say the things that I've practiced, it helps me memorize it better, and I always need help correcting the things I study because they're not always 100% correct. So it is also great for getting some accountability, and it's also great to just get into the habit of speaking often. But keep in mind that language learning is a mixture of input and output, and just your study sessions and just passive listening won't cut it. I always recommend people to get out there with friends, tutors, and people who can help you hold yourself accountable and correct you when you make mistakes. And italki really allows you to do just that. Okay, so now let's go to the video and figure out how to find your best time to study and exactly what I did to learn German. I want to start off with one of the things that completely changed the way I learned, and it was something actually unexpected to me. Finding the best time to study. And the best time to study, it's something that you will have to define yourself. There's going to be a lot of trial and error involved. But trust me, once you find this time, this is going to help you be so much more consistent and enjoy so much more the learning process. Okay, so what is that best time to study? Of course, it's different for everyone, but it will be especially that time when you can focus, when you have the energy to study, and hopefully a time that is tied to any of your regular activities, so you can turn that into a habit very easily. I'm gonna give you an example to explain it better for you. So I used to believe that I study better at night. I've always been more of a night owl, so I thought naturally I would learn better at night. The thing is that after a long day of work and after being hours and hours on end at a computer talking to my students, two things happen. My eyes hurt and my throat also hurt from speaking so much. So at the end of the day, the one thing that I don't want to do is be in front of a digital device, and I also don't want to talk. I want to stay silent and just listen to other people talk and just maybe listen to a podcast or an audiobook. I do not want to talk, and I do not want to see tiny letters and trying to understand something. I used to tell myself that there was no way I could study in the morning. I am way too grumpy in the morning. I am way too asleep in the morning, apparently. So that's not going to happen. So the next thing that I tried was studying during the midday. During my lunch break, after I eat some lunch, I could study. It worked really well. I did that for about 2 months. And then I just had this strange idea of trying to study in the morning, which to me sounds completely crazy because I'm not a morning person, as you can probably see in my face. I really don't like the mornings. I have to drink like a million cups of coffee to finally feel a little bit awake. It really takes me a while to get started. But I had this simple thought of, if I do it first thing in the morning, then it will be done for the day. So then I wouldn't have to remember it, and I wouldn't be the whole day stressing about, studying. It would just have happened at the very beginning of my day. So it will be done. It turned out to be the best thing ever. I could say I've been for maybe 3 months
actively studying every morning. I mean, 3 times a week in the morning. And it works just so well for me. So another reason why I like it is because it really sets me up for the day. So that way I will always study my main language in the morning, and then I will practice my other languages at lunch, because I know that more or less it works as well at lunch. There are two main things that you want to know when you're finding time, right? You have to think about time and energy. For example, at night, I did have the time to study, and I still have the time to study, but I don't have the energy, right? On the contrary, during my lunch break, I had the energy, but I didn't have the time because I had a lot of things going on in the afternoon. It was the morning when I had both time and energy. And for you, this might be completely different. That's totally fine. What I want you to do, and what I dare you to do, and what I challenge you to do, is to try different times. If you feel like you're not being consistent, maybe change the time that you study. Maybe make your sessions a little bit shorter as well. If you find it too draining to study for 45 minutes or an hour, maybe study for 20 or 30 minutes. Also, figure out how often do you want to study. Do you want to study every day, or do you want to study just 3 times a day, as 3 times a week as I do? Now I want to talk about what I do exactly every day and what I believe in when it comes to creating a routine and deciding on what I'm gonna do, right? So I always create a plan in advance, and I plan 3 months of language learning. So I plan exactly what resources I'm gonna do, what I'm gonna be doing when, and all of that, because I don't wanna be in that position when I sit down to study and I don't know what to do. So what I believe is that your study sessions and your routine should have a purpose, and the purpose should be related to a goal that you will want to achieve. If your routine does not have a purpose, you're just there working on everything and getting less results. You can be so much more efficient if you can craft a routine that actually works for you, if you can craft a plan that actually works towards reaching your goal, right? It sounds so obvious, but most of you don't do it. Trust me, I've seen this. So crafting a routine with a purpose. And what are you going to craft in this routine are the 3 parts of effective learning. There are 3 things that we always have to work on, and these are our study time, or passive listening, and our practice time. Here's a study session, which is the main topic of today. I always start my study sessions with flashcards. The reason why I like doing this, it will be flashcards or an app. The reason why I like starting with it is because it kind of warms me up and wakes me up to get started learning with the language. So I love flashcards. Flashcards are very small and very simple. And even if there's one day where I really am too busy and cannot sit down and study, I will still do my flashcards, because it's now such a habit that every time I grab my cup of coffee, I take off my phone and open the apps that I'm currently using to learn the language. If you don't like flashcards, you can try to think of something that can wake you up and can get you into the loop of doing things. Maybe if you have an audio course, you can start by listening. Maybe you can watch a video to get yourself awakened or something like that. Think about something that is very short and fun to do for you. And for me, that's flashcards. Now, during this particular plan, one of the things I wanted to improve was grammar. So in this routine, I am actually studying some grammar with Buzu. Then I will take notes of that. And what I will do right after that is watch a YouTube video. And in that YouTube video, I will try to find and recognize those structures that I just heard. So this is just a fun way for me to strengthen what I learn with actual material that I will one day just use and consume. So again, it transfers very well to real life situations. Another thing I will sometimes do is I will take notes of the video, more or less at what the video was about. So I will write maybe 1 or 2 sentences about what the video was about, explaining what I saw, and whatever it is that I could actually write.
On top of all of that, I will have practice with tutors, friends, and language partners about once or twice a week, every single week. I normally have these around midday or at night, depending on how I'm feeling that week. I also want to point out that I don't do this perfectly every single day. I fail a lot and I skip a lot of days. I will say that best case scenario, I do this 3 times a week, and that is fantastic. Some days I will do maybe half of the things, some days I will only do flashcards. I let myself be flexible with whatever that it is going on in my life. So don't strive for perfection. Have that as an ideal plan, but if you cannot make it one day, it's totally fine. Most of you are learning languages for fun, so. Now if you want to know more about how to create study plans, how to create routines, watch these videos over here. I do have one question before we go. If you can leave me in the comments, how do you learn German? What are the things that you like to do? What are the things that you don't like to do? That would be awesome. Maybe we can all share some ideas. This is all for today. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time. Bye bye.